Hello, welcome to Fat Cat Maths. This week we're going to be looking at the quadratic formula. In your GCSE exam, you'll likely be asked to solve a quadratic equation. When drawn on a graph, a quadratic equation shows a curve or a circle, and when we're being asked to solve a quadratic equation, we are essentially trying to find the coordinates of the 2 points where the line goes through the x-axis. We will end up with two options for x because it will cross the x-axis at two different points, but we don't need to say anything about y because it will always be 0 along the x-axis. There are lots of ways to solve a quadratic equation, but one way is to use the quadratic formula. Just like with the other methods, you will end up with two answers for x because of this key part of the equation here. This plus or minus sign means that we've got two routes to go down with our quadratic formula. We'll go over how to use the quadratic equation in a bit more detail in a second. So unfortunately for the GCSE exam, the examiners expect you to memorise the quadratic equation. A lot of students find that quite intimidating because it's a big equation and it's going to be hard to remember. I would recommend the following. Number 1, practice writing it down. I know that seems obvious, but the more times you write it down, the more it will stick in your head. Number 2 is to use it. Even if it's right in front of you, using this equation to solve quadratic equations will really cement the equation in your mind. Number 3, get a song stuck in your head. This is how I remembered the quadratic equation when I was at school. YouTube in particular has lots of examples of different songs being used to try and remember the quadratic equation. I'll link a few examples below, but if you get something that really gets stuck in your head with the lyrics of the quadratic equation instead of the real lyrics, it's surprising how easily it sticks. So let's go on to how to use the equation. The first thing you need to do is find out what your A, B, and C are. First of all, make sure that your equation equals 0. If it doesn't, rearrange it and make sure that it's at this stage. A is whatever number is in front of your x squared, B is whatever is in front of your x, and C is the number at the end. So in this case, A will be 1, B will be a positive 4, and C will be 1 as well. In the second example, A will be 2, B will be minus 3, and C is positive 8. Let's try and put the equation into action. In this question, we're being asked to solve x squared plus 5x equals 12. Remember, the first thing that we need to do is get that equation to equal 0, so I'm going to move the 12 onto the other side of the equals sign by changing its sign. Now, my equation is x squared plus 5x minus 12 equals 0. Then I can assign what A, B, and C are. A is what is in front of the x squared, which is 1. B is whatever is in front of x, so positive 5. And C is the number at the end, so minus 12. The next thing we're going to do is write out our equation, but we're going to replace A, B, and C for the numbers that we've just assigned them. The next thing I'm going to do is start to simplify. Make sure to do this in stages because it's really easy to make a mistake. I'm going to change the 5 squared, which is 25, and I'm going to change the number afterwards. So a minus 4 times a 1 times a minus 12 will be positive 48. Then on the bottom, 2 times 1 is 2. Next, I'm going to simplify that further by adding the 25 and the 48 to make 73. It's at this stage that we can take this equation in its two different directions. Either x equals a negative 5 add the square root of 73 and all of that divided by 2, Or x equals a negative 5 take away the square root of 73 and all of that divided by 2. On my calculator, I'm going to square root 73 and then I'm going to do minus 5, add the answer and divide that by 2. That gives me an answer of positive 1.77. Then again on my calculator, I'm going to calculate the square root of 73 and then do negative 5 take away the answer and all of that divided by 2. That will give me a minus 6.77. Here's an equation to try yourself. Pause the video and see if you can get to the answer. First of all, I'm going to assign A, B and C. So A would be positive 1, B would be positive 2 and C is negative 35. So then I'm going to write my equation but replace the A, B and C with the numbers that I've just assigned. And then I'm going to start to simplify. So 2 squared is 4. And a negative 4 times 1 times a negative 35 is positive 140. And on the bottom, 2 times 1 is 2. Then I'm going to simplify further by adding 4 and 140, and that makes 144. And then that's when I can take my equation in one of two ways. So either x equals negative 2 add 12, which is the square root of 144, and all of that divided by 2. Or x equals negative 2 take away 12, divided by 2. So that means that x equals a positive 5, or x equals a minus 7. Couple of exam tips: I would always suggest leaving the divided by 2 until the very end. Some people make the mistake of only dividing what is under the square root by 2, and that gives you a completely different answer, so just take care. Secondly, I'd also recommend when you replace A, B and C, put them in brackets so that you don't get mixed up between negatives and positives. Okay, and that is the end of the video. Thank you very much for your time. I really hope this helped. Please hit that subscribe button and I will see you next week. Bye.